Welcome to another episode of George Washington Recap with your host, Cardell Dudley. We're back for the season opener, the official season opener to the regular season for GW men's for the 21-22 season, and it was a good one. It was a thrilling one, one that came down to the wire due to a tough St. Francis PA team, but ultimately GW pulled it out 75-72. Brandon Adams shot lights out all game. He finished with a game high 22 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. He was joined by Joe Bamisile. Bamisile, yes, transfer from Virginia Tech. Yeah, you're gonna hear a lot about him throughout the season. He was next up with 20 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, and 3 blocks, or 8 of 16 shooting from the field. And Ricky Lindo Jr. GW don't win this game without the impact of Ricky Lindo Jr. literally in everything. He had his hands in everything. He finished with 17 points, 9 rebounds, 6 blocks. Yes, 6 blocks, 3 steals on 5 and 9 shooting from the field, 1 to 2 shooting from deep. And keep in mind, his minutes were limited because he was in foul trouble for most of the second half. He picked up an early full foul early in the second half and sat till about the 5:30 mark around that time until about the 5:30 mark in the second half. When they needed him, St. Francis was making a run. He managed to get in, avoid his fifth foul, make key play after key play, especially defensively. GW pulled it out. In the first half, GW was clicking on all cylinders, even with James Bishop, last year's A10 leading scorer, who was just off tonight. You know what I mean? It happens. He's a great scorer, but tonight wasn't his night. But with that said, other guys stepped up. Brandon Adams hit a few threes. Ricky Lindo was getting it done in transition, in the post, high post. Bamisile was doing it every which way possible. They got James Bishop hit some shots in the second half, but for the most part, those three were the guys carrying the load in the first half and for throughout most of the game. But the ball movement that they had and the defense that they displayed on in the first half is what got them the 39-26 lead. Even with guys like Bishop not shooting well, their defense was suffocating, and St. Francis couldn't really get a rhythm. But in the second half, they came out guns blazing. You know what I mean? They flagged their big man. He's amazing. 17 points, 17 rebounds on 7-12 shooting. He fouled out late in the second half when him and Ricky Lindo was battling for a loose ball. But that guy is a double machine, man. And if he's not going to be all conference, I don't. They got NBA talent in this conference now. Because he's definitely that talented. Ramiir Dixon-Conover, senior point guard, he played well. He rebounded in the second half. After the shaky first half, he came out second half, did his thing, finished the game with 17 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, and 6 of 13 shooting. He had some timely shots in the second half, especially in the clutch. They kept him close and, threatened to possibly take away this game late, until GW buckled down. Ricky Lindo hit some clutch free throws. Like I said, got key stops, and that's what really pulled out the game. Outside of Flagg, and Dixon, Land and Giles Jr. and Thompson, they all contributed 9 points. That's 27 points between three players. And, Flagg and Dixon, they both had, 17 points apiece. They carried much of the offensive load for St. Francis. And in the second half, St. Francis outplayed. Well, yeah, for the most part, they outplayed GW. They outscored them 46-36. And, that's when I really saw how important Ricky Lindo is to this team. As great of a game that Brandon Adams had and Bamisile had, no one on GW impacts the game, especially defensively, like Ricky Lindo Jr. does. He's a Swiss Army knife. He can guard all 5 players, literally. Even when they press, he can press the point guards and get back and defend the center. I don't know if he has any preseason all A10 defensive team buzz, but I know he's going to be on there at the end of the season. Otherwise, The only way he don't get on there is if he gets injured. That's it. If he's healthy and he plays throughout the season, he will be on there. He's just too valuable as a defender. He's a professional defender. You know what I'm saying? And the thing that improved over the summer clearly for him, he always could get to the bucket. He's always was athletic. Gets his slasher, transition, lob plays. He can hit threes now. His stroke is much better. He can step out and hit threes. He's the threat from the outside, and obviously he can handle the ball, do all the necessary things, all the dribble handoffs when they put bigger fours on him and whatnot. He always has a mismatch, and that's why offensively he's just a tough. He's just a tough cover, but defensively the way he can rotate, hedge out on guards, get back to his man, rotate, block shots, rotate, strip, rotate to take the charge. The way he can cover ground from one side of the court to the other. It's not many players that can do that, man. It's just not, and there's not any other player on GW that can do that. When he went out with his full foul early in the second half, that's when St. Francis really made that run and made it a game. Otherwise, GW was in position to blow this game wide open and kind of cruise to a victory. So GW finished the game, didn't shoot the ball particularly well, but they made shots when they had to, shooting 38% from the field. They shot well from deep, though, 37% from deep. And free throws, they shot 69% from the free throw line. I know Jamie Christian probably feels like, I know he feels like they got to clean that up. Had they hit their free throws, it's much more of a cushion late, and they're not pressing to try to make plays and have to win this game. And against the better teams, especially in A10, the St. Bonaventures, you know what I mean? Richmond's, the VCUs, the teams at the top in the preseason at the top of the conference or whatnot. If you don't hit your free throws, it's gonna be tough to beat those guys, and those wins gonna hurt, and those losses will hurt. Excuse me. So but nonetheless, they pulled it out, and they pulled it out with the defense. They didn't shoot the ball well. I'm just speaking about GW, but St. Francis didn't shoot the ball well, and they actually shot it worse. They shot 37% from the field, and they shot 11% from three. That's what I mean by those guys can cover ground, especially led by Ricky Lindo. Those guys can cover ground and go from one side of the court to the next and contest. And they got a hand up, and they want St. Francis, they held on to one for not shooting. It got to the point where St. Francis just stopped taking threes, and they try to move the ball and get in there and play a high-low game. They shot better from the free throw line. That's the little thing, because that's what keeps them in the game. They shot 25 of 33, 75%. So, it was good. And they out-rebounded GW 44-41. Like I said, the turnovers were pretty much even. GW had 8 steals and 9 blocks compared to St. Francis 7 steals and 2 blocks. This game was won on the defensive end, and without the defense that they played, GW loses this game. But all in all, it was a good home win. It was a good win. This is the first game that everybody had the chance to suit up and play against Hood in the exhibition. Lindo Bamisile didn't play. So, this was their first game all together. And they pulled out a win with Bishop shooting 2 for 13 from the field. He was very off. Don't expect to see that too much more, too many more times. This was definitely an aberration. But at the same time, it was encouraging to see GW pull out a tough win with Bishop struggling like he did. If you're going to take a positive from this is, you can win games with Bishop struggling. You don't have to rely on him. Last year, that wasn't possible. He needed to score 20+. Had 5+ assists for them to have a chance every game. So, it was definitely some positive take from this, but they had to clean things up. They have a big game coming up on Thursday, a big local game. They would be on the road, go play Maryland at their building. So I'll be there for coverage, and I'll be right back here with another George Washington recap for you guys. So, it's been a pleasure, and see you Thursday.